pushed the back door open. Quiet. No creak, no footsteps. Just my breath, short and dry. I wasn't supposed to be home yet. The flight never left Portland. Mechanical failure. Some mix-up with the boarding system. I waited 4 hours, then gave up. Drove home. Didn't call anyone. Just wanted a hot shower. Sleep. Start again tomorrow. Then I heard it. Mom's plane crashed. The $18 million is finally ours. My legs stopped. I didn't breathe. I stood in the hallway, one hand still holding the door. His voice carried from the living room. Alonzo's voice. My son. His laugh followed. Loud, joyful, carefree. They're saying no survivors, he added. I pressed myself against the wall, cold, steady, listening. Mariana's voice chimed in, sugary and sharp. So we don't have to pretend anymore. Nope. Alonzo said she's gone. It's ours now. Gone. Ours. They clinked glasses. I didn't move. My heart didn't race. It should have, but it didn't. It just beat once heavy and held its breath like I did. My purse slipped from my shoulder. Quiet thud. They didn't hear. I stepped back, shut the door slowly. No slam. No sound. I walked around the side of the house, climbed the stairs, and entered through the upstairs guest entrance. My own room had a private latch. I locked it behind me. Sat down on the edge of the bed. Took off my shoes. That's when the shaking began. Not loud sobs, not rage, just this deep trembling under my ribs. Not fear, not sadness. Something colder. Something final. He thought I was dead, and he was happy. I remembered the insurance folder on the hallway shelf, the one he asked to store for safekeeping. I remembered how Mariana had started calling me M instead of Mom. I remembered the pills Alonzo gave me last month that made me foggy, drowsy, blank. They'd been planning something. I stood and walked to the closet. Still had my luggage with me. I hadn't even unpacked. I sat down, opened the front pocket, and pulled out the old envelope. Thick. Cream paper. My husband's handwriting on the flap. It said, "For when they stop pretending." I didn't open it yet. Downstairs, music played. Ice clinked. I could hear laughter. Her voice. His laugh. Two people who thought I had just died and were toasting it. I lay down on the bed fully clothed, pulled the blanket over me, closed my eyes. I didn't cry. I didn't pray. I just waited. And downstairs they kept celebrating. I opened the door the next morning. No one looked up. They were already in the kitchen, laughing. She was barefoot sitting on the counter. He was opening a second bottle of wine, even though it was barely 10. You should have seen her suitcase, Mariana said, giggling. So beige. Alonzo chuckled. She always dressed like an accountant, even in grief. She poured herself a glass, held it up. To new beginnings. I stood in the hallway 10 feet from them. Not a word, not a glance. They thought I was a ghost. They thought I was 6 feet under. I stepped into view, slow, deliberate. Alonzo turned, saw me, and blinked once, twice. His hand froze mid-pour. "Oh," he said. Mariana dropped her glass. It didn't break, just rolled off the counter, thudded on the rug. "My mom? I thought I missed the flight," I said. My voice didn't shake. He smiled too quickly. "Of course. That's great. You're back?" She stepped down too fast. Her foot slipped. She caught the counter. We were just so worried. I walked past them. No hug, no warmth, just air. I sat at the table, poured myself coffee. Black, from the pot I had bought. They hovered. "Did you hear the news?" Alonzo asked. "About the crash." For a second we thought, well, you were on that flight, weren't you? I was. They waited. I sipped. I didn't get on. Silence stretched. Mariana smiled tight and false. Such a blessing. I mean, we were devastated. I didn't blink. They sat. Awkward. He opened his phone. She stared into her mug. I waited. Not for an apology. Not even for shame. Just the truth. But they gave me nothing. Later that day, I stood outside my door. Locked. Alonzo said it was just a mistake. Something about remodeling. Said they'd moved a few things out of my closet. I nodded. He handed me a blanket and said I could sleep in the guest room, just while we figure things out. I nodded again. That night, I lay in a strange bed. One lamp, no curtains. I could hear them laugh down the hall, hear music, something modern, loud. I stared at the ceiling. Thought about the old drawer in my real room, the one with the papers Alonzo didn't know I still had. I closed my eyes and listened to them celebrate again. Mariana opened the hall closet and tossed my shoes into a donation bin. I thought we could clear some space, she said, without looking at me. I watched the heels drop black leather barely worn. My late husband gave them to me for our anniversary. She didn't ask. She moved on. Cleared out the coat rack. Labeled a box garage sale. My raincoat was in there. I didn't say a word. She ordered a new rug, pale gray, said it lifted the space. Alonzo nodded. This is our home now. Needs to feel like it. Our. That was new. I found my toothbrush missing the next morning. A fresh one, pink and cheap, had replaced it. No explanation. Then the locks changed. I came back from a walk and couldn't get into my old room. The doorknob had been replaced. Alonzo smiled when I asked. Just keeping things organized. That room's going to be part of the remodel. He handed me a key to the guest room like a hotel clerk. Said it'd be more comfortable. He didn't look me in the eye. Later that afternoon, he followed me into the kitchen. I was boiling water. Mom, he started leaning on the counter. I was thinking, maybe it's time to take it easy. I said nothing. He went on. Like maybe don't drive for a while. You've been tired lately. Let us take care of your appointments, groceries. Everything. I stirred my coffee. The spoon hit the side of the mug. Steady. Rhythmic. We just want what's best, he added. They were shrinking me down. Inch by inch. Cut by cut. I nodded like it was a favor. That night, Mariana hosted a book club in the living room. 6 women. New faces. Loud laughter. Someone spilled wine on the rug. She waved it off, said it was just a test piece. I passed by to go to the laundry. No one greeted me. No one even noticed. She called out, after I'd gone loud enough for them to hear, "She's harmless. Like a cat you keep around." They laughed. I folded my hands, pressed my thumb into the center of my palm. Stayed quiet. The next day, I opened my banking app. Password denied. I tried again. Denied. Alonzo came in as I was resetting it. Need help? He asked. No, I said. He smiled. Sometimes tech gets tricky with age. He patted my shoulder. Walked out. I reset it later that night from the guest room Wi-Fi. Everything looked intact. But 3 automatic transfers had been added. Monthly. Large. The memo line read, "Household operations." They were already spending it. I left the app open and stared at the screen until it blurred. Then I clicked print. Slipped the pages into a folder beneath my pillow. Just for now. The drawer in my old room still held what I needed, but I'd get to that later. I opened the drawer in the hallway desk and found the will. Not the original. A printed copy. Bound with a red ribbon. Neat. Precise. I flipped to the second page. Then the third. My name wasn't there. Alonzo's was. Mariana's was. A note at the bottom read, "Updated upon family restructuring." I stared at it for a long time. No heat, no tears. Just a long, cold stillness. I placed it back exactly where I found it. Closed the drawer. Walked away. That Sunday, they hosted a brunch. 12 people. Neighbors, friends, a few of Mariana's co-workers. Laughter dishes, clinking glasses full of champagne. Bacon, waffles, fruit trays, napkins folded like petals. I wasn't invited. No one knocked on my door. No one asked if I was coming down. At noon, Alonzo tapped gently. Said there was some food left if I wanted. He handed me a paper plate, covered in foil, still warm, 2 cold waffles, a broken egg, no fruit. I sat in the guest room and ate alone. The syrup was too sweet. The egg tasted like rubber. I chewed every bite. Their laughter echoed through the vents. I heard someone say, "This place has so much potential," Mariana answered. "We're planning to open it up. Knock that wall down, redo the back rooms." She meant mine. I wiped my mouth, folded the foil, tossed the plate, washed my hands slowly, dried them on my jeans. I walked to the old room, door still locked, but I remembered something Alonzo forgot. I'd kept the original key, taped under the stair rail. He never checked. I found it, slipped it into the lock, turned. The click was soft. I stepped inside. Empty drawers, no clothes, shelves wiped clean, even the rug was gone. But in the back corner behind the closet panel, the drawer was still there. Hidden. I crouched, pulled it open. Inside the folder, the certificate, the sealed letter. All untouched. I didn't open anything yet. I just closed it again, locked the panel, slid the key into my sock, and I walked out as quietly as I had come in. I waited until midnight. No voices, no footsteps, no music, just the hush of a house that thinks it's won. I slipped out of the guest room. No lights, no sound. I didn't bother with shoes. I crossed the hall, stepped over the squeaky board, turned right. 3rd panel down the hall. I knelt, pried it loose with a dull knife I'd hidden in the linen basket. The floorboard came up clean. There it was. The metal box rusted at the edges, tucked where he told me it would be. My husband built this house with his hands. He always said, "If anything ever turns, trust the floor before the people." I pulled it out. My fingers shook, not from fear, but from something colder. I opened the lid. The first thing I saw was the will, the real one. My name at the top, clear, signed and notarized, dated 5 years after Alonzo married Mariana, updated after my husband's stroke. He hadn't forgotten me. Next, a savings certificate, mid-6 figures, tucked inside a separate envelope, unclaimed. Then the key, silver, plain, no tag. But I knew what it was for. The cabin, the one we never told anyone about, the one we paid off in cash, hidden up near Bandon near the woods. And finally, a card, thick, cream, his handwriting. In case they forget who built this house, start here. I folded the will, slipped it into my robe pocket, put everything else back. I lowered the box, sealed the panel, smoothed the wood with my palm. I stood, quiet, steady. Back in the guest room, I sat on the edge of the bed, turned on the lamp, and laid the will across my lap. I read every line. No tricks, no loopholes. I had more power in that single page than all their wine, all their parties, all their lies. I turned off the lamp. I didn't sleep. I just waited for morning. I pressed my ear to the vent. The walls in this house weren't thick. My husband built them for warmth, not secrets. Alonzo paced in the room below. The floor creaked in rhythm. "I know it sounds bad," he hissed into the phone. "But what else was I supposed to do?" Silence. Then him again, sharper. "No, she doesn't know. She missed the flight. She doesn't know what we said. We thought she was dead." Another pause. Mariana kept saying I was spineless. Said if I didn't step up and take control, I'd never be anything but the guy who waited around for his mom to die. Her words. He sounded tired, hoarse. Not sad, just worn. I've got the credit cards stacked. 2 years behind on the business loan. The house in Arizona fell through. If we don't sell this place or tap into her accounts, we're screwed. He paced again. I pictured the phone to his ear, the same hand he once used to hold mine crossing the street. "I didn't want it to be like this," he muttered. "But she just wouldn't die." I leaned back. There it was. Not love. not grief. Just the math. I went downstairs 2 hours later, made coffee, sat at the table. He walked in, phone still in his hand, but quiet now. He glanced at me. I didn't speak. He poured his own cup, sat across from me. "You doing okay?" he asked. I nodded. "We were thinking of repainting the front room." I sipped. No reply. He shifted. "You've been a real help lately, Mom. We appreciate you being flexible, useful." That's what he meant. He stood stretched. "Mariana's got some appointments next week. Maybe you could watch the place." I nodded again. Calm, empty. Like a checked box. He smiled, walked out. The moment the door shut, I took the small folder from my sweater, slipped it under the fridge panel just for now. Somewhere they wouldn't look. Somewhere cool. Flat. Safe. Let them repaint. Let them schedule. I'd heard enough to know what I needed. I dialed Ellen's number again. Voicemail. I left no message. Just hung up and stared at the phone. Ellen had never missed 2 calls in a row. We'd been friends 15 years. Bible study, hospital rides, birthday cards even when we forgot the actual date. Now silence. I called her landline. It rang once. Then nothing. That afternoon I walked 2 blocks to her house. Her blinds were drawn, her car still in the driveway. I knocked gently. No answer. From the neighbor's porch, I heard Mariana's voice. "She's not well," she was saying. "Just needs rest. If she stops by, maybe just redirect her back home." Redirect. Like I was mail sent to the wrong address. I walked home, slowly. My knees ached. My feet dragged. When I opened the door, Alonso was there. "Hey, good news," he said like it was normal. "I talked to your doctor. Rescheduled your appointment." I stared at him. "I told her you'd been disoriented lately. Driving yourself probably isn't smart right now." She believed that he smiled. "She trusts me. Said she'd keep me in the loop." I walked past him. Straight to the fridge. I touched the panel, felt the folder still pressed behind it. Cold. Steady. Mariana caught me at the stairs. "I told the neighbors you're dealing with a few things," she said. Didn't want them to worry. Her tone was honey. Her eyes were steel. "Everyone's on the same page now. You can just rest." Rest. They were walling me in, smiling while they did it. No doctor, no neighbor, no church friend. Just them. I didn't argue, didn't push back, just climbed the stairs, closed the door. That night, I moved the folder. Not far, just somewhere new. The old sewing box in the attic crawl space. Wrapped in a blanket, tucked under the broken Singer machine. I kept my hands busy all evening. Threading needles, sorting buttons, stitching a hem that didn't need fixing. And below me, the house kept shrinking. I started writing it all down. Every charge, every call, every lie. I kept a notebook folded into the hem of an old quilt, the one Mariana said was too scratchy for guests. She never touched it again. Monday, $413 to Interior Luxe. Her name on the receipt, my card. Tuesday, call to Dr. Frey's office. Alonso used my full social. Claimed dementia concerns. Wednesday, wine delivery 122. Cash tip. From my account. Each entry clean. Small print. No flair. I copied it twice. One notebook stayed here. One I mailed to a P.O. box I hadn't touched in 10 years. Still in my name. Still paid in advance. Mariana knocked one morning. Soft voice. "You've been forgetting your vitamins." She held out 2 pills. Pale blue. Familiar. I smiled. "Thank you." Took the cup. Swallowed air. She watched. Satisfied. She left. I spat the pills into a tissue, flushed them. The bitterness clung to my tongue. I drank black coffee to rinse it out. By afternoon, I was writing again. In the kitchen, I left the radio on low. A background hum. Mariana passed behind me, saw the notepad. I smiled, covered it with a coupon flyer. "Just writing the grocery list," I said. She nodded, already, dismissing me. That night, I slipped a voice recorder into the fake plant in the hallway. Cheap, old, still worked. I hit record as they walked by. She didn't even ask about the missing check, Mariana said. Alonzo laughed. She's drifting. Perfect, she replied. You'll have to push the lawyer meeting up. Their steps faded. I pressed stop. I didn't sleep much after that. But I didn't need to. I had their voices now. I pulled the red folder from the attic box. The edges were stiff, sealed with a strip of black thread. My husband's habit. If it's not meant to be opened, he used to say, seal it like a promise. I cut the thread. Inside layers, the first power of attorney documents. Updated 2 years before he passed. My name listed first. Alonzo's name crossed out in red ink. The mark wasn't legal, but it was personal. It told me everything. The second property titles. 3 of them. The house, the cabin, a parcel of land in Arizona I hadn't seen in decades, all still under my name. He never transferred anything to Alonzo. Not even after the wedding. 3rd insurance. Burial plan term policy plus a quiet life insurance payout I didn't know existed. Still active. Still paying. Enough to keep me from ever depending on anyone again. Tucked in the back, a handwritten note. If they try to take it, don't argue. Just act. And call Howard. Howard Greer. Old school. Private. Wore the same brown tie to every appointment. My husband trusted him like a brother. I hadn't spoken to Howard in years, but I still had his card. It lived under the sewing box drawer behind the jammed zipper pouch. I found it exactly where I left it. I dialed the number from the guest room landline. Not my cell, not theirs. 3 rings. Greer Law Office, a voice said. Younger, female. I need to speak with Mr. Greer. Who's calling? Tell him it's Marceline Ashcroft. A pause. Then 1 moment. Another voice came through. Gravel and memory. Marceline. I opened the red folder. Silence. Then, you ready? I am. Good. Come Tuesday. Bring the documents. We'll draft everything fresh. I smiled. Not because I'd won anything yet, but because I wasn't waiting anymore. I stepped into Howard's office at 9:02 a.m. He didn't offer small talk. He locked the door, pulled the blinds, sat me down and slid a stack of papers across the table. Your son's name came up, he said. In a query I ran last night. I opened the file, read slowly, line by line. The policy had my name. The policy also had a payout value 7 figures. The policy had 1 beneficiary. Alonzo. Issued 8 months ago. Address this house. Purpose. Final expense coverage, accidental death preferred. My chest didn't rise. Didn't fall. I just stared. Howard waited. Not rushing. This wasn't just careless, I said. He nodded. He's gambling. Debt's high. Policy's high. If something happened, he'd win, and no one would ask questions. Not with the dementia rumors they've been planting. I closed the file. He forged the authorization, no. You gave him medical proxy 2 years ago during your surgery. He used that to gain access. Expanded it quietly. I looked down at my hands. They didn't shake. Howard leaned in. What do you want to do, Marceline? I unfolded the red folder. Pulled out the original documents. Slid them across. We dissolve the old. Reinstate everything under me. And I want new protections. He nodded. Already prepped. We signed the forms. Durable power of attorney. Medical directive. Property hold. Last page, my signature locked it all. Then I looked at him. Let's see how far they go. He didn't smile. He just stood. Walked to the safe. Locked everything inside. I'll handle the filings, he said. And I'll handle the house, I said. I left through the back door. Wrapped my scarf tight. Took the long way home. Quiet. Calm. By the time I stepped through the kitchen door, Mariana was plating salmon. She looked up. You disappeared this morning. I smiled. Just needed some air. I shut the door to the guest room, locked it, pulled the list from the back of the sewing box. 3 names. 3 people who didn't ask questions when I went quiet. 3 people I knew would still pick up. First, Howard Greer. He'd already filed the directives, sent me digital copies and hard backups. Now I needed one more thing. Start the cabin transfer, I told him. Move it into the shell company. He understood without asking why. Second, Iris Bell, my accountant from when I used to manage rental properties. Smart, sharp, never missed a cent. She picked up on the second ring. I need to reestablish an account, I said. Something separate. Quiet. Same name. No. Use the old business one. Ashcroft Pines. Got it. You want it firewalled. Completely. Done. You good, I will be. Third call, Ruth Franklin. County records. She hadn't heard from me in years, but her voice lit up the second she knew it was me. Marceline, you still in town? Still standing? I need a copy of the latest deed. For the house, and the mineral rights if you can pull them? Of course. I need it dated. Certified, notarized. I'll walk it through myself. I hung up, pulled the spare phone from the sock drawer. Factory reset, reinstalled with Iris's help. All updates routed to the new account. That night, while Mariana watched her show and Alonzo scrolled through real estate apps on my couch, I sat at the kitchen table. I opened a yellow pad, wrote down everything that still had my name on it, then everything I'd already moved, then everything they thought they owned. The lists didn't match. Not even close. She dropped the paper on the table like it was a favor. I thought this might help set expectations, Mariana said, smoothing her blouse like she'd just led a board meeting. I picked up the paper, 12 bullet points. Top household harmony agreement. Below that, cleaning duties, lawn rotation, guest rules, curfew. And then the line in bold monthly contribution, $2,000 via transfer to household account. Below that, we also ask that all personal grievances, medical concerns, and decisions regarding property or outside counsel be cleared through us first to avoid confusion. At the bottom, Mariana had signed her name. Left a line for mine. If you want to stay here, she said, we just want to make sure everything's fair. Fair. She smiled like she believed it. Alonzo came in behind her, sipping juice, glancing at the list like he hadn't already read it. We figured this keeps everyone happy. I didn't speak. Not then. I folded the paper. Neat, even lines. Tucked it into my cardigan. I'll consider it, I said. Mariana's smile froze just a second too long. Of course, she said, backing away. No rush. Just soon would be best. I waited until they left the kitchen. Then I walked to the pantry, pulled down the ceramic jar labeled tea, removed the lid, dropped the list inside, covered it again. The irony made me smile. I didn't drink tea, never had. Always coffee. But they never asked. That afternoon, I sat by the window, yellow pad in my lap. Drew a new line on my list, power shift attempt. Documented. Then I underlined one word. Silence. They wanted me quiet. They had no idea what I could do with quiet. I smiled when they asked. Yes, I'll sign. Yes, I'll follow the schedule. Yes, I'll transfer the money. Yes, I'll keep quiet. Mariana looked stunned for half a second, then smug. You'll find it's easier this way, she said. No more tension. No more confusion. Alonzo nodded. We'll make sure you're taking care of Mom. Till the end. Till the end. He said it like a nurse, like a man burying something already dead. That's all I ask, I said. We sat at the table. Mariana slid the paper over again. I picked up the pen. Signed my name in soft, shaky letters. She watched every stroke like a predator watching a rabbit lower its head. I left the room humming. That night they poured wine, played music, danced in the living room like they'd just closed escrow on the future. Mariana caught my eye as she passed the stairs. Smirked. "Glad you're finally on board," she said. I didn't reply. I climbed the stairs slowly. Closed the door. Pulled the duplicate copy of the agreement from my pocket, the one I never intended to submit. The one I'd written hours before, perfectly mimicking her font, her terms, except one small addition at the bottom. This document is not legally binding and exists solely for purposes of domestic cooperation. Stamped with an old notary seal from my husband's safe. I filed both copies. Hers in the witness envelope, mine in the legal binder labeled coercion. And then I sat back. Waited. Watched. Let them dance. Footsteps. Laughter. Doors opening, closing. Glasses clinking. I stayed upstairs. Mariana's voice rose loud and clear from the living room. "This is the main space. We'll knock out that wall, open the floor plan. The upstairs will be restructured completely." A pause. Someone asked something. "No, don't worry," she answered. "That room's empty. She doesn't come down anymore." I stood by the door, hand on the knob, not moving. She was talking about my room. Below, more voices chimed in. Compliments. Jokes. One of the agents laughed too loud. "Great location. Once it's updated, it'll go fast." They clapped. Toasted. I looked around at my room, the one they thought was forgotten. My dresser. My father's chair. The old cedar chest with my daughter's baby clothes still folded in it. The one they never asked about. I sat on the bed. Listened. Alonzo spoke next. His tone relaxed. The equities mostly cleared. "We're finalizing things with the lawyer. Once the paperwork's filed, we'll open the listing." Another voice asked something. "No, she doesn't really know what's going on anymore," he replied. "We've taken over the logistics." The room felt smaller, not because they were winning, but because they thought they already had. Later, I heard them calling for cake. A round of applause. Flash from a phone camera. Someone said, "To new beginnings." I opened the red folder again. Checked the date on the deed. Checked the transfer Howard finalized last week. My name still sat at the top in bold. Mariana's laugh echoed up the stairs. I smiled, just barely. Then I walked to the closet, pulled out the envelope marked "Eventual." Slipped it into my cardigan pocket, folded it flat. I waited. Still. While the walls of their house shook with celebration, I waited until the wine had loosened their tongues, until the real estate agents had moved from the patio to the living room, until Mariana had kicked off her heels and laughed loud enough to rattle the windows. Then I stepped downstairs. No one noticed me at first. They were too busy watching her toast. To the next chapter, she said, "Glass lifted high. To new ownership, a fresh start, freedom." Applause. Flashbulbs? A phone on a tripod recorded the moment. I walked past the bar, past the couch, straight to the projector, inserted the flash drive. The screen flickered, then played. First audio. My kitchen. 2 weeks ago. Mariana. If she dies on that flight, we sell immediately. Alonzo. Isn't that risky? Mariana. She's half gone already. And once she's gone, everything is ours. The laughter. Her exact words. Silence fell like glass shattering. Next clip, a phone call. Alonzo, pacing. Whispering. She thinks I'm still handling her bills. I rerouted everything. The cabin's unmonitored. Another voice. You sure she doesn't suspect she's tired? She won't notice. On screen, a timestamp blinked. Mariana's voice again, spineless. You let her live here like a guest. I want her out. Then came the bank transfers. One by one. Funds drained from the shared account. Labeled Household Improvement Care Services Legal Counsel. None of it existed. The screen froze on a spreadsheet. I stepped forward. Held up the flash drive. Play the rest, I said. The agent near the screen didn't move. I repeated, calm, play, the rest. He did. Emails, voice notes. Mariana's voicemail to her mother. I'm sick of waiting. She's still alive, still hanging around. I thought we'd be done by now. Mariana finally turned, saw me. She paled, took one step forward, then froze. Alonso said nothing. His mouth opened-closed. I didn't speak. I just walked to the center of the room, stood there, with the truth still playing. Voices stopped, glasses lowered, chairs scraped. No one looked at me. They looked at the screen, at Mariana, at Alonso. The flash drive still flickered blue. Then one by one, the guests stood. No goodbyes, no explanations, just silence and steps and doors opening fast. The real estate agent who had been smiling 5 minutes ago walked past me with her eyes fixed on the floor. I didn't move. Mariana spoke first. "This is a setup," she said, half laughing. "It's clearly edited." Alonso turned to her. "You said she didn't know anything." She cut him off. It was jokes. Inside talk. We didn't mean any of it. I raised one eyebrow. No words. He pointed at me. "You think you can humiliate us after everything we've done?" I looked around. The new furniture, the champagne bottle, the listing brochures, the home they thought they'd stolen. And then a knock. Howard Greer stepped in, folder in hand. He didn't look at them, just walked over to me. Passed the envelope. "Filed yesterday," he said. "Effective immediately." Alonso stared at him. "Who are you?" Mariana stepped between them. "You can't just barge into our house." Howard opened the folder, pulled out the deed, held it up. "This house no longer belongs to either of you. The transfer was executed last Thursday, all legal, all clean, and notarized with the original trust signatures." Alonso's voice cracked. "She's manipulating you. She's not well." Howard looked at me, then back to Alonso. "You took out a life insurance policy on your mother." No one spoke. He added calmly, "You also rerouted her accounts, altered her medical directives, and removed her from legal decisions. All documented." Mariana opened her mouth, closed it. I walked to the front window, looked outside. The yard lights flicked on. I turned back. "This house," I said, "has one owner. They didn't ask who." She packed fast. Shoes, jewelry, coat. Slammed drawers. Didn't speak. Alonso trailed behind, sputtering, "Mariana. Wait. Just wait." She didn't. She slammed the door. No one followed her. Alonso stood in the hallway holding his phone like it owed him a future. He called his lawyer. Twice. Voicemail. Called again. Pacing. "It's urgent," he snapped. "I need to reverse a property transfer. My mother tricked me." "No, listen. There has to be something we can—" I stepped onto the porch. He turned, eyes wide, face pale. "I didn't know she'd actually go through with it," he said. "I thought it was just leverage." She said we'd wait. She said I sat, coffee in hand. He kept talking, but his words lost shape. The porch light buzzed softly. Moths circled it. Howard had filed everything clean. The trust now listed only one name, mine. The cabin retitled, the accounts frozen, his access gone. I'd revoked his power of attorney 2 weeks ago. He looked at me like a child realizing the math problem wasn't going to fix itself. "She manipulated me," he said. I didn't answer. He sank onto the step. For 10 minutes we didn't speak. Then he stood, tried the door Mariana had slammed behind her. Locked. He looked at me again, waiting. I didn't move. He walked down the drive. No suitcase. Just his phone and whatever was left in his wallet. The wind picked up. The porch light buzzed again, and I stayed exactly where I was. He returned the next morning. Shaky. Hollow. Face gray from a night without sleep or shelter. He knocked once. Then again. "Mom?" he said soft. "Can we talk?" I didn't answer. He waited. "Please. I need to explain. I didn't mean for it to get that far. Mariana pushed me. I thought it'd help us both. I thought you'd be taken care of." Still I said nothing. He stepped closer to the door. You've made your point. I get it now. We were wrong. But we're still family. I opened the door just enough to slip the envelope through, then closed it again. He stood there, stared down at the letter, opened it. Inside a photocopy of the trust documents, his own signature, the timestamp, a notarized date from 2 months ago, the second page bank statements, transfers, his initials beside each transaction. The third, a letter from Howard. Short, calm, legal. At the bottom, I had written 2 sentences in my own hand. You were not erased. You signed yourself out. This door is closed now. He didn't knock again. He stood there for a long while, then turned. I watched through the side window as he walked away, slower this time. I didn't cry. I didn't call his name. I didn't speak. I moved quickly. Signed the last of the transfer forms. Had the cabin deed stamped and sent back under my name alone. Routed my mail. Changed my address. Notified the county clerk, the bank, the water board. Called Ruth. Thanked her. Called Iris. Sent her a check. Quiet, private, no note attached. Then I drove to the clinic, 2 towns over. Walked in. Sat down across from the director. Slid a check across the desk. For rural health, I said. Use it where others forget. She blinked. Asked nothing. Took it gently. On the way out, I passed the waiting room. 3 mothers. 1 older man. No one looked up. I got in my car. Rolled down the window. Breathed in. Drove back to the house one final time. It was quiet. Light streamed across the tile. I didn't pack. Just walked through each room once. Touched the door frames. Ran my hand along the table. Then I placed 1 envelope on the counter. Inside, nothing legal. No threat. No warning. Just a line written in ink. You thought I was gone. But I was rebuilding. I made coffee. Drank half. Turned off the lights. Locked the door behind me. I opened the windows. Let the air in. Let the quiet fill the walls. The cabin didn't creak. It held. I lit the stove. Ground the beans. Poured the water. Steam rose. I reached for the mug, white ceramic, chipped on one side. The words printed across it hadn't faded. Still, here. I sat by the table, faced the window. The trees moved slow and steady, not loud. Just enough to remind me the world went on with or without permission. No phone rang, no voices filled the room. Just wind, steam, breath. I held the mug in both hands, let it warm the space between my palms. No more hiding. No more waiting. No more asking to stay. I sipped. Outside, a bird landed on the railing. Stayed a moment. Then flew. I didn't move. I didn't flinch. I stayed.